Hey, coming to you from the garden today to talk about clutter allergy. I'm wondering, do you have a clutter allergy? And what does that mean? And how do you fix it? So I'm here in the garden not necessarily to talk about pollen allergies. That's usually what we think of when we think of allergies, but it applies to pollen allergies. Because wellness isn't always about taking a pill or running on a treadmill. Sometimes wellness is about your position in your environment. So I'm out here in the garden today to talk about clutter allergies because I want to talk about letting go. And letting go is one of the secrets in the New Health Manifesto to activate your fountain of youth. Letting go of toxic burdens. It's a biggie. And so I want to help you identify what those burdens might be and then what action to take. How do you actually position yourself in your environment so it's easy to let these things go? So first, we have to recognize what a clutter allergy is. And wellness is all about flow. It's about allowing blood flow, fluid flow, energy flow, breath flow. So the air in your environment and the flow in your environment is the same thing. So yesterday I was in the garden and I had this big old burning bush, right? And it was in the way. It was in the way of the other plants wanting to grow. It really didn't belong there anymore. And so my husband and I dug it up and we gave it away. And it's about that same thing, that when something isn't working in your environment, how do you identify it first off and then pluck it out and move on? And so part of what happens is that people will first not really know what's bugging them, because we'll take a pill, mask a symptom. I have allergies, I take an antihistamine. And then you never really get to find out what it is. And skin tests aren't really it. That's a surface irritant. We're talking about one level deeper. This is where we start getting into chronic allergies. And so letting go is about identifying the irritant. So there's your top layer. So what I want you to listen to are the complaints. And when you're around things that make you irritated, listen to that. And actually start to look at what in your environment isn't working. You walk into a room and your nose fills up or makes you itch, and then you think, okay, we need to get some airflow in this space. And what's actually attaching, the dust is attaching to things. This brings me to my next layer. So we look at the irritants and then we look at the clogs. What's clogging up your space? What's clogging up your digestion? And then you say, okay, am I willing to let these things go? These clogs attach to, or I got that backward. Irritants attach to clogs. And so by removing the things that clog up your space, you start to establish flow. And why is this important? Because walking around irritated all the time is a burden to your energy. So once you've identified some of the irritants and the clogs, so we'll say the irritant is the dust and the clog is what the dust attaches itself to, then you have to be willing to let it go. And really, the best way to do that is not necessarily to force yourself to do that, but to think, what do I want? What do I want to replace this clog? I want space. I want flow. I want my pretty garden. I wanted to pull that burning bush out of there so that I could have that nice flow, that aesthetic flow when I look at it. So what do you want in the place of your clog? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your cluttered closet full of clothes. What do you really want? Do you want a closet full of clothes you really like? And we're so fortunate. But part of what happens is we start to cling and we want to hold on to things. And we think this is the way that it's always been, that this is the way it always has to be. And so what I would invite you to do is identify your irritants and your clogs, identify what it is you would like to replace it with. And then number 3, this is the big tip. When you are ready to release what it is that you feel you need to cling to, just say thank you. Thank you for being in my life for as long as you have been. Thank you for pointing out to me what I needed to change, and I release you. And so I trusted that that burning bush is going to grow wonderful in somebody else's yard. I'm giving it away. So now, what I would like for you to do today, and take some time to think about it, or maybe it already popped into your head. What burdens you? What irritates you? What is literally weighing you down? Write it in the comments. And if you can think of what would you like to replace it with, type that in there too. Get your new health manifesto. Look that over. There are some tips in there too. And know that once you reestablish the flow, more will follow. If you fill your life with clutter, with things you don't really want, you'll get more of that too. So thanks a lot for listening today, and sending you love from the garden.